Country musicians are skilled in delivering songs that speak to everyone, and they always seem to have a larger-than-life appearance on stage. However, beneath all that are people drowning in debts, battling with a lot of demons, or just part of a bad business deal. For many of them who have sold out arenas, topped every chart, and made history, they still ended up dying with nothing to their name. Why is this so? What exactly happened to that fame and fortune that they had before? Let's discover the truth in the lives of these 20 country stars who died broke. Number 20, Johnny Paycheck. Donald Eugene Lytle, popularly known as Johnny, was born on the 31st of May, 1938 in Greenfield, Ohio. At birth, he was a big name in the outlaw country movement. One of his most significant hits, Take This Job and Shove It, which came in 1977, solidified his position in country music by becoming the anthem for working-class individuals there. However, Johnny was not living the ideal life, and his career was filled with many legal troubles and personal battles, slowly overshadowing everything he had achieved in the musical world. In the year 1981, Johnny began to experience a lot of legal issues, which were related to sexual misconduct. 4 years after that, he was convicted of having shot a man in an Ohio bar, and this crime gave him a 7-year prison sentence. However, Johnny did not serve the complete 7 years. He stayed in jail for just 2 years before he was finally released on parole. Also, he battled with substance dependence, and this greatly affected his finances. The financial difficulties that he faced were so severe that they drove him to file for bankruptcy in 1990. This happened after the IRS levied a tax lien on him of $300,000. However, Johnny's problem did not end here because in the late 90s, his health began to decline and he finally passed away on the 19th of February 2003 at the age of 64. The cause of his demise was diagnosed as complications from emphysema and asthma. Johnny had little to no financial resources at the time of his demise. It was so bad that his burial expenses had to be covered by a fellow country artist, George Jones. Number 19, Hank Williams. Hank Williams was born on the 17th of September, 1923. At the time of his birth, which took place in Butler County, Alabama, his name was Hiram King Williams. Little Hiram then grew to become a powerful figure in country music. He had a brief career, but that was marked by many chart-topping hits like Lovesick Blues, Your Cheatin' Heart, and Hey Good Lookin'. These songs were the defining moments of his career, and because of their quality, they also became the foundation on which future generations of musicians built their thriving careers. Needless to say, Hank achieved most of his financial success through his songwriting and touring schedule. During the 1950s, Hank reached the peak of his career, earning about $1,000 per show. Back then, this was an enormous amount of money. Everywhere his songs got to, they kept charting, and people knew him as a leading country artist. Even with his endless success, Hank still battled with a lot of personal and professional challenges. One of these was the chronic back pain that he had as a result of spina bifida occulta. This condition made him overly dependent on alcohol and prescription drugs. It didn't take long before these issues affected his reliability. Hank began to miss his performances, and his relationship with many people in the industry became very strained. However, the high intake of alcohol contributed little to Hank's financial downfall. His financial problems exploded due to his poor management and bad personal decisions. The first of these bad decisions was his divorce from Audrey Shepard. This divorce left him in pieces as most of his assets diminished. With everything he earned as a successful entertainer, Hank passed away with an estate valued at $100,000, equivalent to $1.2 million today. Hank Williams passed on the 1st of January 1953 at the age of 29. His cause of demise was determined to be heart failure as a result of substance use. Number 18, Tammy Wynette. Tammy is one of the artists who rose from humble beginnings to become the first lady of country music. She was born as Virginia Wynette Pugh in Mississippi on the 5th of May, 1942. One of her most well-known tracks is the 6/8 hit Stand By Your Man. After releasing this song, she sold over 30 million records worldwide. Out of those records, she had about 20 #1 singles. Truly, her voice and lyrics always resonated so deeply with her fans. However, despite all these successes, she struggled with her personal life. Tammy married 5 times, and one of those weddings was a high-profile one with George Jones, a country star. Their relationship had musical collaboration and personal strife, which were the exact factors that led to their divorce in 1975. Tammy not only battled with her emotional life, But her health also took a bad toll as she went through 30 surgeries and even became overly dependent on painkillers. This dependency lasted into the 90s, and as such, there was a need for hospitalizations and treatments. After all that was said and done, she filed for bankruptcy in 1988 when her investments in Florida shopping centers failed. Number 17. Keith Whitley. Keith was born in Ashland, Kentucky on the 1st of July, 1954. When he was still a teenager, he performed with Ralph Stanley's Clinch Mountain Boys. And then, when the 80s rolled in, he transitioned to country music. When he moved to the country music industry, it almost felt like he had found his resting place. Keith had a soulful voice and hearty lyrics like none other. One of his albums that truly spoke to many was his Don't Close Your Eyes album, which he released in 1988. This album contained many chart-topping hits like When You Say Nothing at All and I'm No Stranger to the Rain. These songs were mind-blowing and helped him solidify his position in country music. Keith earned most of his money from his album sales, his touring, and the songs he wrote. However, beneath that flawless career, he was battling with a lot of alcoholism. As a result of how overdependent he had become on these things, he began to miss performances, and the relationship that he had built with people in the industry became strained. He passed away in his home in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, on the 9th of May, 1989. The cause of his demise was said to be from acute alcohol poisoning. When he passed away at 34 years old, his estate was estimated to be worth over $100,000. This sum included his real estate holdings, but the settlement of his assets was complicated because he did not have a will. Number 16, David Allen Coe. David was born in Akron, Ohio, on the 6th of September, 1939. He had a gritty voice and unapologetic lyrics, which he used to carve a niche for himself in the outlaw country genre. He was extremely talented, and he was able to use his talents to produce hits like You Never Even Called Me by My Name and Long-Haired Redneck. David was extremely successful, earning most of his income from album sales, royalties from his songs, and relentless touring. He was doing extremely well. One would expect he would have left this world as a billionaire. However, David had one huge flaw. He spent extravagantly. This lifestyle left him in huge financial instability. The 80s saw David filing for bankruptcy due to the sale of his song rights for a mere $20,000. This was the beginning of his financial troubles, and the number of legal troubles he got involved in made matters worse. He even pleaded guilty to tax evasion in 2015 because he had failed to pay taxes on over 100 concerts between 2008 and 2013. Unfortunately, instead of settling his tax obligations, he took all his income to pay off his other debts and cover his gambling losses. However, in 2016, he was ordered to pay over $1 million in restitution to the IRS and placed on a 3-year probation period. Number 15, Bobby Womeck. Bobby's career lasted 6 decades, during which time he was known as an American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He was extremely talented and collaborated with legends like Sam Cooke and the Rolling Stones. His major sources of income were his songwriting royalties, record sales, and live performances. Womeck was highly successful, but his success did not last very long because he faced many financial difficulties, including significant debts and unpaid child support. His financial troubles were linked to his use of hard substances, legal obligations, and poor management of his finances. By the time he passed away, he reportedly had limited assets. Number 14, Lefty Friselle. In Corsicana, Texas, 1928, Lefty Friselle was born, and this name was later associated with a musical trailblazer known for their smooth voice and heartfelt lyrics. Lefty had several hits, especially in the 1950s. Songs such as If You've Got the Money, I've Got the Time, and I Love You 1,000 Ways were so electrifying that they made his name a household name. Unfortunately, beneath all that glamorous spotlight was a man battling many personal demons and making poor decisions, which led to financial instability and an early demise. Lefty's financial battles began with bad management and exploitative contracts. He trusted other people too much in handling his finances and affairs, and when it was needed, he had little to show for all his years of success. Lefty also did not spot this mismanagement early enough, so it continued for the rest of his career, and he could not recover from it. In addition to this, his personal life was also in disarray because in 1947, he spent 6 months in jail for statutory mistreatment. This event completely overshadowed his career, and he could never perform to a crowd filled with people who loved him again. Lefty's musical talent did not matter much anymore because these issues had totally overshadowed it, and so during the mid-50s, his career began to decline. However, Lefty was not ready to let go of his fame that easily, so he did everything in his power to try to maintain the same fame that he enjoyed before, but unfortunately, he could not. The more he tried, the more his finances suffered. This star finally passed away on the 19th of July, 1975, when he was 47. The cause of his demise was a stroke resulting from a life of hard living. When he passed, he did not have any estate in his name. Number 13, Roy Hamilton. Roy was known as one of the most powerful vocalists of his time. His songs, which became hits like You'll Never Walk Alone and Unchained Melody, spoke much about his impact on the country music industry. He was phenomenal. Most of his earnings came from record sales and live performances. However, he was in so much debt at the time of his demise. He even had to borrow against his life insurance to pay back taxes. He remained so broke despite his success because he constantly spent his money on medical expenses and back taxes and did not even manage his finances well. When he passed away in 1969, Elvis Presley had to cover his outstanding medical bills and funeral costs. Number 12, Mel Street. King Malachi Street, popularly known as Mel Street, was born near Grundy, Virginia in 1933. Back in the 70s, he was seen as a rising star. He possessed a soulful voice, and his heartfelt lyrics constantly resonated with many fans. These characteristics later earned him 13 top 20 hits on the Billboard country charts. However, despite the level of success that he had achieved, he was battling with severe financial stress and depression. He also had alcoholism, and soon the pressures that came with fame took a bad toll on his mental health, and during his 45th birthday on the 21st of October 1978, he took his own life. The demise of Mel took everyone by surprise, as no one really knew that he was battling with such demons. During his funeral, his idol George Jones sang Amazing Grace as a tribute. At the time of his demise, he had nothing to show for it. However, he achieved much posthumous fame as his greatest hits album sold over 400,000 copies in 1981. Number 11, Spade Culie. In 1910, Donald Clyde Cooley, popularly known as Spade Culie, was born in Grand, Oklahoma. During the 40s, he reached the peak of his fame, and everyone knew him as a Western swing musician, band leader, actor, and big television personality. His hits, like Shame on You, helped him achieve so much success that he hosted the popular television show The Hoffman Hayride. Spade had achieved a lot in his professional life, but in secret, his personal life was filled with a lot of violence. It was so bad that on the 3rd of April, 1961, he brutally took the life of his second wife, Ella Mae Evans, in front of their 14-year-old daughter. This crime shocked the entire nation and led to him being convicted of first-degree murder and receiving a life sentence. When he was sent to the California Medical Facility in Vacaville, Spade received kind treatment because he was a celebrity. He was even able to teach music classes still, and also got a 72-hour furlough in November 1969 to perform at a benefit concert for the Alameda County Deputy Sheriff's Association. Unfortunately, karma was waiting for him because after the crowd gave him a standing ovation, Spade had a bad heart attack backstage. The heart attack came just one day after his scheduled parole. Number 10, Doy West. Dorothy Marie Marsh, popularly known as Doy West, was born in 1932. During the 1960s and 1970s, she achieved so much success as a country music artist. She was recorded as the first female country star to win a Grammy Award in 1965. Her song Here Comes My Baby helped her win this award. Doy had a flourishing career, and everyone believed she would continue on that path till her last day on Earth. But that was not the case. Her lavish lifestyle and poor economic management caused her many financial difficulties. These led to her accumulating many debts, and by the 1990s, she had owed $1 million, including a $703,000 loan on a house. When the IRS came to collect the money, she did not have it, so they seized and auctioned her possessions, like her home and personal items, to clear the debts. Doy passed away on the 4th of September, 1991, from the injuries that she sustained in a car accident she had while on the road to the Grand Ole Opry. Before she passed, she was still struggling to bring back her career, but she still battled with financial instability. Number 9, Vern Gost. Popularly known as The Voice, Vern Gost was born in Woodland, Alabama on the 5th of August, 1934. Vern had a vibrant baritone voice and constantly gave an emotive delivery that earned him a sacred place in country music. One of his hits, Chiseled in Stone, even won the Country Music Association's Song of the Year in 1989. The young man was that good and talented. However, despite all the accolades he received due to his musical prowess, his journey was filled with financial instability. As a matter of fact, during his early career days, the young man had to take a step away from music to be able to operate a glass company in Georgia. He finally returned to the industry in the mid-70s. He did all these in search of financial success, but even when he had reached the peak of his career, financial success still felt like a mirage to him. It was so bad that, according to his manager and close friend, Dr. Gerald Murray, the young star would often struggle to make ends meet no matter how much he toured. These financial troubles were only amplified when he went through a terrible divorce. In 1982, the young man was now involved in a whole lot of legal cases, one of which involved an alleged murder-for-hire plot against producer Gary S. Paxton. However, he was never charged for this. In 1998, Gost suffered a major stroke, but he found the strength to continue performing till the 28th of April 2009, when he finally passed away at the age of 74. Number 8. Mindy McCriedi. Mindy McCriedi was born in Fort Myers, Florida, on the 30th of November 1975. She was initially named Melinda Gail McCriedi. During the mid-90s, Mindy flew to fame with her debut album, 10,000 Angels. This album achieved double platinum status, and her chart-topping Single Guys Do It All the Time made everyone see her powerful vocals. Of course, she had immense success during her early days in music, but as time passed, her life was filled with many personal and legal troubles. She was even arrested multiple times under certain charges, like prescription substance fraud and probation violations. She also struggled deeply with substance use. In addition to this, Mindy has a very bad relationship with singer Billy McKnight, and this led to domestic violence and more legal battles. Soon, the pressure of being financially unstable with a failing music career and lots of legal fees got to her. In 2013, after her boyfriend and the father of her younger son, David Wilson, took his life, Mindy was admitted to a treatment facility. It didn't take long after this for her children to be removed from her custody. She was not able to take it anymore, and so, on the 17th of February 2013, she took her life in her home in Heber Springs, Arkansas. She was 37 when she passed. Number 7. Faron Young. During his time, Faron was one of the best country singers. He was specifically known for hits like Hello Walls and Live Fast, Love Hard, Die Young. Faron was so talented that he made his money, particularly from the sales of his records, live performances, and multiple investments in music publishing. However, his success did not follow him to his later years because he developed severe health issues, and because he felt neglected by the country music industry, he lost his zeal for performing, and his income began to decline. Faron had a lot of assets, but he was also a troubled man. His depression and health issues led him to his financial downfall. Finally, he took his life in 1996, and it was rumored that he struggled financially when he passed. However, his will included some specific bequests to his children. Number 6. Gary Stewart. Gary Stewart was born in Jenkins, Kentucky on the 28th of May, 1944, and he was a vibrant force in country music, especially during the 70s. Gary was specifically known for his distinctive vibrato and fusion of honky-tonk with Southern rock. He was a musical genius, and his music resonated with the people because it had such raw emotion layered in sincere storytelling. However, his success in the musical field did not stop him from experiencing many challenges in his personal life. Firstly, he battled with substance dependence and depression. These issues all came from the immense pressure in the music industry. As if life was not challenging enough for him, in 2003, tragedy struck as his wife of 43 years, Mary Lou, lost her life to pneumonia. Gary was overwhelmed by grief, and this caused him to cancel all of his performances, and he also pulled himself away from the public eye. He was found lifeless in December 2003 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in his Florida home. At the time of his demise, he was struggling financially. Number 5. Charlie Rich. During the 1970s, Charlie Rich, popularly known as the Silver Fox, was a celebrated country artist. One of his hits, Behind Closed Doors, even topped several charts and, as such, earned him many awards. This talented artist mostly made his money from selling several records, many live performances, and royalties from his songwriting. However, he did not maintain this financial success for a long time because he soon began to face many significant financial struggles that led to him filing for bankruptcy in 1974. His financial struggles stemmed from his lavish lifestyle, bad investments, and the way he constantly mismanaged his finances. After experiencing such a terrible decline in his finances, Charlie still tried to pick up from where he left off by performing and recording his music till he finally passed away in 1995. Unfortunately, by the time he passed, his estate value was very low, and he was reportedly financially unstable. Number 4. Carl Smith. Mr. Country, popularly known as Carl Smith, was born on the 15th of March, 1927 in Maynardville, Tennessee, USA. During the 50s, he had contributed so much to the country music industry that he was recognized as a prominent country singer. He was particularly known for his hits and his marriage to June Carter. Carl had a very smooth vocal and a honky-tonk style, and all these were showcased in his major hit, Let Old Mother Nature Have Her Way. He had a unique way of singing, and this drew many people to him. Carl made his money predominantly from record sales, live performances, and his publishing company, which thrived. His success was short-lived because when the 1970s dragged in, Carl's popularity decreased significantly, and he started facing many financial challenges. The star had a huge success during his early days, but this success soon turned to a decline in income and public recognition as time passed. As of when it happened, people speculated a lot of reasons for his financial decline, but most reports state that it was as a result of different factors, like the end of his marriage to June Carter, the shift in musical trends, and the fact that he never properly managed his finances. Regardless, Carl still tried to maintain his electrifying presence in the country music industry until he finally passed away in 2010. However, when he passed, it was rumored that his financial assets were not clear and that the value of his estate was very low. Number 3. Harlon Howard. Harlon Howard was one of the treasures in the country music industry. He was an excellent songwriter and wrote several hits for artists like Patsy Cline and Buck Owens. The star was so good that his major hit, I Fall to Pieces, soon became a classic in the country music genre. He made his money from songwriting royalties and publishing deals. The exact amount isn't known, but it was rumored that he was extremely rich because of the success of the songs he wrote. However, this success did not stop him from facing many financial difficulties in his later years. The reason for these difficulties was a high-profile career and many personal challenges. These personal challenges included his health problems, the number of legal issues he had, and the fact that he never properly managed his finances. All these factors joined hands and crippled his income terribly. Harlon tried his best to recover by writing and even contributing to the country music scene until the day he passed away. But unfortunately, his estate value was still low when he was gone. Number 2. Tom T. Hall. Tom T. Hall, a country music artist, was popularly known as the storyteller. Tom was celebrated heavily for his narrative style during his time, and every song he wrote was always very emotional. He was so good that his major hit, Harper Valley PTA, became a crossover success and earned him extensive acclaim. Tom made his money from his songwriting royalties, sales of his record, and his live performances. However, despite his success, he faced many financial difficulties, from the immense pressures in the musical industry to personal issues. These issues included health issues and legal battles. By the time he passed away, it was rumored that he had passed with little to nothing. Number 1. Marty Robbins. Marty was one of the best country music artists of his time. He was particularly known for his involvement in NASCAR, and one of his major hits, El Paso, grew to become a classic in the country music industry. Marty was extremely talented, and he made his money from the sales of his records, his live performances, and his involvement in NASCAR racing. Unfortunately, this success was short-lived because soon he began to experience many financial challenges, including issues with the IRS and a decline in his finances during his final years. These difficulties stemmed from his lavish lifestyle, tax issues, and poor money management. By the time this legend passed away, it was evident that he had little or nothing to his name. Most people believe the choices these stars made led them to that position. But what do you think? Could that be the reason? Or did Hollywood have something to do with it? Let us know in the comments which story shocked you the most. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.